For an invocation, a moment of silence by Scott Ryder.
Good evening. I have a Batman symbol today for my friend Max, former student at Hazardville. And I asked Max Para and one of his teachers to write something up for a student of ours that passed away on Thanksgiving. Max was a beautiful little boy who was loved by all that knew him. He touched the lives of many at Hazardville Memorial School, especially the children. He loved coming to school to see my friends. He loved music, library, and PE, but mostly just liked being with the other children. When Max needed a helper, the children excitedly volunteered with pride and natural empathy. Max was so full of love, he had the ability to make people set aside their own worries and troubles and look at the world through his eyes. Eyes that saw nothing but joy and fascination around him. Max displayed true strength in his fight against his illness, modeling Batman, his favorite superhero. The HMS family will always remember his spirit and joy for life. So I have a Batman pin today and a Batmobile, because for all that don't know Max, we transformed his red wagon that he would sometimes need to get from class to class into a Batmobile a couple school years ago. So, moment of silence, please. Thank you, everybody. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America. Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Fire evacuation. In case of fire or any emergency, there is an exit to the rear of the chambers. Go out to far away from the building. Or you can go out my left, your right, and out left and down the stairs to the rear parking lot. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ryder?
Here.
Mr. Renier?
Here.
Mrs. DePoe?
Here.
Mr. Rutledge?
Here.
Mrs. Riley?
Here.
Mrs. LeBlanc? Mrs. Hernandez?
Here.
Mr. Neville?
Here.
Chairman Krusell?
Here. Miss LeBlanc is at a tournament with her daughter, or? Yeah. So basketball? I'm going to, number 6 board guest, I'm going to call an audible because I'm the chairman and I can do so. I'm going to ask Mr. Drezek to make a little presentation, and I will ask Randy Daigle to please join us up front.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those of you may be familiar with Mr. Daigle, serving in his capacity, I think, on every building committee in the history of Enfield. In addition to several PACs and several different building committee projects and board facilities committee. But tonight we wanted to recognize Mr. Daigle not in his capacity as a member of the PAC or on a building committee and his name on every building in town, but simply as being just an Enfield citizen. Those of you may be familiar with Mr. Daigle from not in those capacities, but the coming days prior to Election Day this year, you may have seen his face on several different news outlets. Mr. Daigle, as a private citizen, took his own time and volunteered to take all of the local news stations that had an interest in the referendum on JFK and give them all personal tours of the facility and explain the process of why the referendum was moving forward and why it was so needed in town. That was above and beyond anything he's ever been chartered to do in all the capacities that he's done and all the different roles he served in as members of committees or just being a citizen in town. So we wanted to, as a measure of our thanks, recognize Mr. Daigle this evening as a true champion of education. The plaque he's being presented with tonight was actually made by students at JFK. So you can put something, you finally get your name on something that's not attached to a building. So on behalf of all of us, Mr. Daigle, we wanted to thank you and appreciate everything you've done.
And I served with you on the building. I served with you on the building committee from day one. I just knew that you were the right man for the job, and all the buildings that you've done around town. And it's the least we can do to for all your service to the town. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
You want want to say anything?
Well, I brought the boards thinking I was going to come for question and answers before you guys tonight, so this is a
He
surprise.
didn't know what this was about, so.
Thank you guys very much. It's definitely a team effort. All you guys have been with me for a long time. Tim's been with me for almost 7 years now, and Scott's been through getting this done, and Charlotte and Chris and Mr. Dryzik and Andy. We've been through a lot together, and I've always had your support. And I'm honored to call you not only a colleague, but a friend of mine, and I appreciate it very much. And let's get JFK done now.
That's the arm twisting we're doing now. So. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay. God, I did not design this building, so if I did, our forefathers designed such a, well, whatever. All right, so back to our agenda. Board guests, 2017-2018 Red, White, and Blue School. Mr. Dryzik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we welcome Ms. Megan Burr, our Humanities Coordinator, as well as Mr. Joel Sine, our 6 to 12 Social Studies Coordinator, as well as our Enfield Teacher of the Year, Mr. Tony Allegro, who is a civics teacher at Enfield High School, to explain, and I'll let them do the presentation for it, and I won't ruin it, about our red, white, and blue schools. Thanks.
So thank you for having us here tonight. I'll be very brief because, as usual, the students really led this effort in its entirety. Jalen, you want to have a seat? In the end there? So last year, we were fortunate enough to be recognized for the second year in a row as a red, white, and blue school. Now, I say that because the first year Enfield High School was recognized. However, Enfield was recognized last year as a K through 12 red, white, and blue school district. So we're one of only 3 districts in the state to receive that recognition. So as you can see, there are several students here that were involved in this process. We had from 5th grade all the way up through seniors in high school involved with different civic action programs. And I will now turn over the mic to Matt, who you all know well, and he'll explain what the program was and his role in it.
Thank you. The Red, White, and Blue Schools Initiative is a partnership between the State Department of Education and the Office of the Secretary of the State that rewards schools which develop programs designed to foster strong civic engagement among students. The program is available to all K-12 schools in Connecticut and was launched in the fall of the 2016-17 school year. The theme for last school year was local community engagement. There is a very specific rubric and criteria to meet for designation as a red, white, and blue school. This year, the committee was looking for social studies, integrated instruction, cooperation with school and community partners, interdisciplinary and whole school participation, the examination of local issues in the students' communities, utilization of various forms of media and outreach to communicate projects, and inclusion of extracurricular or out-of-school activities. We are honored to have our project's mission far exceed the requirements for single school recognition and receive recognition for being one of only 3 red, white, and blue school districts statewide. As you know, our students are truly the stars of our civics education program, and if you entered any of our classrooms in grades 5 to 12 while civics was being taught last year, you'd definitely say the same. This was truly a district-wide effort. I speak for all the students involved in thanking the teachers, coordinators, and mentors for their support as we experienced this process. I would especially like to thank our social studies department teachers at JFK and EHS, as well as the 5th grade teachers at each school. Their time and effort deserved commendation, and the committee recognized that. And of course, a huge thank you to Mrs. Whitbrow, Mr. Crane, Mr. Allegro, and Mr. Wanzer for their leadership of our Youth Vote program. Mr. Crane and Mr. Allegro worked countless hours to prepare us for our annual debates and related activities. And as for personal experiences, 2 years ago, I was involved I was a student in the Civics in Action class when it was its first year at Enfield High. And for me, the highlight of that was our Civic Action Project. basically we were tasked with identifying an opportunity for change and then taking at least one realistic step toward achieving that. And for me, that meant combining my passions for music, education, and just involvement in this kind of stuff in general. And I got to design a sort of curriculum for music education and be in contact with the Commissioner of Education, Diana Wenzel, about that project. So that was really interesting for me. I have with me some students from the EHS Community Action Learning class to explain their community engagement projects last year. And I have Jalen Alsme, who you all know, to discuss her experience as a candidate for Connecticut Kid Governor and Enfield's first kid mayor. So I'll turn it over to them. Who's speaking?
So you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm Tim Carley.
Jillian Willoughby.
I'm Taylor Smith.
I'm Dan Golden.
Go ahead.
Olivia Longley. Caitlin Landry.
And I'm Carly Flanagan, and I don't think I really knew this.
Oh,
Oh, wow. So we're all in the community.
Everybody, every time we say that.
So we're all in the community and action class right now, and we are working on a project partnering with the Lamagna Center right down the street. And we thought that this is a place where teens go to find a safe space where they can complete their homework and be involved in sports. And we thought that's really a way for kids kind of to release all their stress, and it's a great place to have in town, but it needs a little tweaking. So we decided that we'd like to try to raise money and get donations for new sports equipment. We are now doing a book drive in school so we can donate new books to their homework center. And we are working on having Red Robin nights, Panera nights, and doing fundraisers within our school to help them kind of have a better environment for our teens in our town, because our project is Teens Helping Teens. We feel as though we all need to help each other in this kind of world, and we need more kindness. So that's our main goal, is to spread more kindness and help each other out.
Ours was the last semester class, and we decided we wanted to raise money to help veterans reacclimate into society. In the end, we ended up having a pancake breakfast along with having a GoFundMe page, and we ended up raising $2,000, which we then gave to the Enfield Hoo-Ha, and they gave it to a great organization that they have.
The proceeds went to the American Legion and the Enfield Hoo-Ha. The pancake breakfast was our main fundraiser, and that's where we got most of our proceeds. But we also did a Red Robin night, like they're planning to, and some other small fundraisers.
Earlier in the year, before we really started our project with the Angela Lamagna Center, one of the big things we did was we went to elementary schools to help the 5th graders with their Kid Governor projects. We really were only there for a couple, maybe an hour or two, but we just tried to help them find ideas and find information on what to do with their projects. We just tried to help them with the time we had.
Jalen, you want to talk about your experiences?
All I remember is the beginning of this whole kid mayor and kid governor thing. I had to make an important speech to my classmates to see if they would want me to represent them to the whole entire state, kind of, to be their new kid mayor. And it was really fun and exciting because my classmates helped me a lot. I was really stressed and nervous. I played with my hands a lot, and it really helped a lot knowing that my classmates were there helping me. I know personally I didn't do much as kid mayor that I could, but I did walk in parades and just regular stuff that a mayor would probably do. And because I didn't prepare a speech, I'm just gonna hand it over to Olivia Nucio, the new kid mayor, because I had to step down now.
When
You could use the one on the table. Just pull it towards you.
When I heard about Kid Governor in 4th grade, I knew I wanted to run for office the following year. Kid Governor was a fun and interesting activity because I learned about what it was like to be in a real election. I loved the fact that I could research about a problem that I wanted to help solve in our community. I never thought I would make it this far and can now be Kid Mayor for Enfield. The issue I chose for my platform is helping kids get enough exercise a day. This is important to me because I know when kids get enough exercise a day, they will feel energized and more ready to learn. Now that I'm the Kid Mayor, I'm looking forward to helping out the town in any way possible. I want to thank my teacher, Miss Solkowski, my PE teacher, Miss Chamberlain, Miss Burt, and the Enfield High students that helped me film my campaign video. I also want to thank the Town Council and Board of Ed for giving me this opportunity. I'm very excited. And now for my video.
Hi, my name is Olivia, and I want to be the next Connecticut's kid governor because most kids do not get enough exercise a day because they are inside on their electronics and screens instead of being outside. These kids are becoming unhealthy. I believe with my help I can help cause all kids around Connecticut get enough exercise a day and lead great, healthy lives. I believe that I would be a strong leader for you because I believe that I am helpful and willing to adjust my plans for you. I also believe that I am responsible and approachable. According to WebMD, 74% of children between the ages of 5 and 10 do not get enough exercise a day. This is a problem. Let's hear from an expert. Here's my physical education teacher, Miss Chamberlain, about how important it is to get enough exercise a day. Miss Chamberlain, why don't you tell us about how important it is to get enough exercise a day?
All right, Olivia, it's so important for kids to get a bare minimum of 60 minutes of physical activity and exercise every day for so many reasons. It helps to promote healthy growth and development. It helps kids to improve their cardiovascular health. It helps to develop fine and gross motor skills. It helps kids to improve their balance, their coordination. It helps you concentrate and think and do better in school. And it really provides kids an opportunity to grow self-confidence and make friends and have a lot of fun. So those are just a few reasons why it's important to get 60 minutes of physical activity every day.
Thank you, Ms. Chamberlain.
You're welcome.
Take a look at this. This is an example of kids that have been working without any break.
All right, we need to focus. We have lots of work to do.
Miss Silk, when's recess?
Oh, it's later.
My first plan of action. We can change our 30-minute recess to a 60-minute recess. I know this will help students stay more focused and attain their personal best. So, you just had your 60-minute recess. How do you feel? I feel I'm focused and ready to learn. Thank you. So what do you notice about the class now? See what a 60-minute recess can do?
Wow, you're focused. Great job. Wow, you're doing your personal best. Wow, look what recess did. I should have been doing this years ago.
My second plan of action to get kids moving is to establish after-school activity clubs. Kids are going home and playing electronics when they could be outside getting their 60-minute recommendation of activity they need each day. Hey, what's going on here? Everybody's signing up for after-school activity clubs like soccer. Wow, is there another activity? Yeah, there's football, and there's kickball, and there's baseball, and there's dance. Ooh, I want to sign up. Yeah, me too. Come on, follow me. My third plan of action is to have more opportunities for brain breaks. This will allow kids to get enough exercise in and still be able to give their brains a break. Let's take a look at what a brain break looks like. We love brain breaks! Thank you so much for letting me talk to you guys about how important it is to get enough exercise a day. If you vote for me, you will have extra recess, more after-school activity clubs, and more brain breaks. And remember, a vote for Olivia is a vote for your health!
Could I ask the real mayor to come up? Define real. The adult mayor. Okay, that's better.
Real fruit smoothies.
And Olivia, could you come up too, please? What was her name? Jada?
Jalen.
Jalen. You did more work than he did last year, just to let you know.
Good job.
Olivia, on behalf of the mayor and myself, the chairman of the board, we would like to present you this plaque as our kid mayor for the year. Would you like to say?
How'd you not win? I mean, how did you not win? The state, I have to tell you, the state doesn't know what it's doing, but we knew that going in. Great video, and I endorse 60 minutes of exercise. So make it happen, Mr. Dresnick. Make it happen right now. It's on record.
I'll bring it up with our next guest.
Yeah, 60 minutes. It's great. And by the way, I can still do jumping jacks. Let's go, everyone up. Get up. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna start. Tell them. Get up. You gotta tell them.
We don't want to
Get up.
It's called a brain break. So all I'll say is this: looking forward to Sunday. You're welcome to join us at the as Jalen did last year at the Torch Parade. We'll let you press the button to turn the tree on if you're welcome. You're welcome to be there. I also will send an email through the superintendent. So again, you're welcome 6 o'clock-ish, right?
6 o'clock's the parade.
Parade, so 6:30-ish. So you're welcome, and you get Santa's going to be there, so the star of the show will be there, and of course I believe as well. I believe, and we will try to make it as we do with Jalen, include you as many things you'd like to be included in. Have some fun, show you a little bit about government, and I think the other thing I just want to say, and to the kids who are in the civics class, and of course our teacher of the year, Mr. Allegro, again, our kids are cool because you're smart. I mean, you folks are smart, and it's cool. I mean, the way you come up here and speak, I had the pleasure of going for the youth council down at Lamagna Center. Someone mentioned it. Man, these kids, good stuff. I mean, it's good stuff. Keep it going. Use your brains. You're going to get very far in life. You get very far. And again, the school system's doing a great job. Because again, when kids come before the council, they come. If you saw the youth council presentation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we gave them a half hour, and they had plan. They had, I mean, what they're going to do. I'm more than willing to help you folks anytime you think I'm valuable. I'll help you do your, what you're looking to do. I think it's a great idea. And for the kid mayor, again, looking forward to you serving. And we're going to try to find some things. I know we still want to try to get Jalen a chance to actually be. Maybe we can do it because we couldn't do it in the summer. Maybe we can get you and Jalen to actually open up a council meeting. All right, so you get a chance to at least hit the gavel and see how it feels. So we're working on that, and maybe actually we can do it next month. Congratulations. Thanks for the invite. Great video. I can't believe you didn't win.
And ditto on all that from me too. See, I don't talk as much as he does. Okay, so we're at letter C, Enfield Teachers Association.
Good luck following that, Emily. I'd like to welcome the president of the Enfield Teachers Association, Emily Hulabich. We shared some information at the last board meeting, but it wasn't on television, so we invited Emily here to share something really nice that the Enfield Teachers Association did on behalf of the teachers for the town. So,
okay.
Please.
Good evening. Before I was the president of the Enfield Teachers Association, I was the community relations chairwoman. So that was an awesome job because I had a small budget that I could use in any way I saw fit to donate to organizations or groups in town. And I tried to hit, it was a personal goal to hit as many groups as I could. Another personal goal of mine was to add some beautification to Enfield. And so one of the groups I hadn't gotten a chance to recognize was the Veterans of Enfield. And I had this idea that we could do a veterans bench. We ended up with 2 to honor our veterans in town. I went way over my budget, and our former president, Todd Kuchar, was great about okaying it and saying whatever you need to do, we'll do. And so it came out of teachers' union dues. We didn't raise money or anything. And they're out front in the town hall.
Control room, can we have them on the screen, please? They're out in the.
Yeah.
I took
at
pictures
the Veterans
of them.
Memorial, Todd and I spoke to the Veterans Council, and they requested that they go here at the memorial, and the benches on the other side were perfectly good, so we put them on the other side. And
the next picture, please.
When it gets warmer, come on out and check them out.
That's the little plaque that's on them.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry you guys can't see this, but it's out on the ETV. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going on to Superintendent's report. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll start with our student representatives. Both Matt and Dan are here, so whomever would like to start first.
Dan can start first.
So I just want to let you guys know about a few upcoming events at the school. We have the blood drive tomorrow. So I believe we have 35 to 40 students signed up for that. That's very important, as you know. We have the pancake breakfast. Mr. Clark actually gave me something to read, but I don't know where I put it, so I'm just going to... it's a partnership between Rachel's Challenge and the Enfield High School students and staff, and then the JFK students and staff help out as well. So we go and they provide free breakfast. Santa's there, there's presents, raffles, that kind of thing. We'd like to invite you guys all to that again. I know, I believe Mr. Cruzel was there last year, I think.
I was the taster, taste inspector.
And we have a chorus concert coming up, and a lot of the students have been helping out with the NEASC presentation for Sunday. So from 4:15 to 5, there's going to be a lot of different clubs and students there who are going to be representing a wide variety of topics, from superintendent's advisory to communication learning, class you just saw. So yeah.
Thank you, sir. Matt?
The pancake breakfast is phenomenal. Some of the musicians from the school will be playing there. That's on Saturday, November 15th at St. Patrick's, December 15th at St. Patrick's Church. So we'll mention it to you again, but definitely put it on your calendars. We have parent-teacher conferences coming up this Thursday. So good for some of us, not so good for others. Good for me, hopefully. And like Mayor Ludwig mentioned, we have the Torchlight Parade. The town has the Torchlight Parade coming up this Sunday, December 2nd. And I know we don't hold a candle to Santa or the Kid Mayor, but the marching band from Enfield High will be playing in that, as well as some other groups from Enfield High are going to be participating. And something else exciting coming up is that the Enfield High Model United Nations Club has been hard at work for a couple months preparing for the statewide conference, and that'll be at the University of Hartford on Friday, November 30th and Saturday, December 1st. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Dan had mentioned, the Enfield High School accreditation process is going to begin on this coming Sunday, December 2nd. Board members are encouraged to attend the panel presentation, which is presented by our students, beginning at 1 p.m. In the Enfield High School auditorium. Enclosed in your packet is a memo from Principal Clark about the process, the NEAS&C visit schedule, and there's also a quorum agenda for December 2nd when board members are asked to meet with the panel from the visiting committee. The Tri-M induction ceremony. Tri-M is a National Honor Society for student musicians. There are over 2,100 chapters in the United States, and the Enfield chapter was started 2 years ago. Board members are invited to attend the Tri-M induction ceremony on December 6th at 6:30 p.m. in the Enfield High Auditorium. Enclosed, there's information in your packet as well. There's also a grants report, a personnel report, and a list of December events. As you can see, there are many. And just a couple of things that I mentioned at the last board meeting, but because we weren't televised, and the benefits of those watching at home, on Wednesday, December 12th at 9:30 p.m. or 9:30 a.m. Excuse me, Enfield once again. I don't know how. I have a suspicion that it's the work of Miss Lori Gates, and as mentioned earlier with the kids in the civics action class, she also runs the Enfield Hoorah Association. It's very rare for Wreaths Across America to visit more than one community, particularly in a short period of time. Because of the presentation that Enfield has put on and the times they've come to visit, if you can remember last year, the truck drivers from Walmart actually added a stop. Even though it wasn't part of the official procession, they still stopped at Enfield and they stopped at Parkman, and we had a little celebration for the trucks when they got here. But this year, we're actually part of the formal procession from Maine down to Arlington National Cemetery. We've also been informed and we've coordinated, and we want to thank the Enfield Police Department, the Enfield Fire Department, that the actual procession is going to go by every single school in town. including Alcorn, so every employee in town, every student in town will have an opportunity to go out to the street and actually wave as the trucks go by. And then it'll be followed by a ceremony at 9:30 at Parkman when we receive the trucks. And if you haven't had an opportunity to attend it, I highly recommend it if you have an opportunity to be there on the 12th. It's a very moving ceremony, and it also really puts in the picture, particularly during the holiday season, really where our priorities should lie and how thankful we should all be. So I highly encourage anyone to attend, and I want to thank again Ms. Gates for everything that she does, and I'm going to keep saying that every time I get a chance. She won't like it, but that's okay. Something else I mentioned at the last board meeting, because we didn't have an audience, that there is something called the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. And earlier in this year, we were asked, along with our partners at CHDI and as well as Enfield Youth Services, to apply for a grant to become of what they're referring to as a Breakthrough Series Collaborative. And the collaborative is entitled Supporting Trauma-Informed Schools to Keep Students in the Classroom. This was a national opportunity, for lack of a better term, for every school district and every community in the country to apply for. When it was first presented to me, the odds of us actually going forth and not just submitting the application, but being selected, we knew it was an uphill battle, but because of all the work that we've done centered around trauma-informed schools, we thought we, at a minimum, should put our name in and at least have an opportunity through the application process to highlight the collaborative work that we do between us and Enfield Youth Services. We were notified back about 3 weeks ago now, I recall, that we were one of 7 school districts in the country that were selected to take part in the collaborative. It's along with us, a district in New Mexico, Colorado, St. Louis, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Toledo, and then Enfield, Connecticut. Obviously we're extremely proud. It is an 18-month commitment. Thank Mr. Ryder for acting not as a board member, but acting as a parent collaborator on this project. We suckered him in to be part of the process because he's very, very involved with a lot of the work that the committee is currently doing. It is a district-wide initiative that is going to take precedent with some of the work that we're doing across the district, not just from from our academic offices, but also from our social and emotional learning objectives that we put forth. One of the things that was presented to us during the initial call, that we have a separate call, and then we have a collaborative call with all the groups that were chosen to be part of the collaborative, was what our application stood out was the work that we're currently doing, and that we seem to be ahead of the curve in a lot of the districts that put forth an application. And in order to, and I think I have to thank Jean Hoy again, because as you all have an opportunity to have met Jean, and you know that there's not a stronger advocate for the well-being of all children in Enfield than Jean. One of Jean's tricks was that I think the application will be stronger if it shows that it's a district initiative, particularly coming from the top. So in order to be part of the travel team or a senior leader on the team, Jean actually put my and Andy's name on the application. So Andy and I are now committed for the next 18 months to lead this project along with Jean. So thank you, Jean, but in the end, it's in the best interest of everything that we're doing here. So it's an exciting opportunity. We'll have more information coming up shortly that you're going to be hearing a lot about this over the next 18 months, but I wanted to get an opportunity to share for those that aren't able to attend meetings and have an opportunity to see it on television if they happen to be tuning in. And last but not least, I had some very special visitors today. 2 of our Enfield High School seniors, who also happen to be members of the football team, Cameron LeBlanc and Andrew Diaz, visited my office today, and they presented me with the coveted Route 5 Rivalry Trophy, to which our Enfield High School football team was successful in beating our new arch rival South Windsor in what was supposed to be our Thanksgiving Day game, but then it wasn't, then it was Tuesday, then it was Saturday, then it was Monday. Whenever they played the thing, we beat them. And I had marching orders for the football team that if they didn't beat South Windsor, because I happen to have a daughter who attends that school, I wasn't letting them leave the field with their jersey still on. So needless to say, they went out of their way, and it was a hard fought. It was a lot closer than I think they wanted to, but in the end they prevailed. And I want to give some recognition to the kids on the football team this year for everything that these kids have been through for this season. I didn't care if they won a game. as I know most of you didn't. But to be able to come back and actually the pride these kids had in the trophy, they're passing it around like it was a Stanley Cup. So they gave it to me today. Unfortunately, I have to return it because they have their banquet on Thursday afternoon or Thursday evening. But I told them I was bringing it here tonight, and my plan was to keep it in front of Mr. Longy and I for the rest of the meeting. But because Ms. LeBlanc was unable to attend this evening, I think in her honor, because she put more blood, sweat, and tears into this football team than anyone in this room, I'm going to put that as our honorary spot for Ms. LeBlanc for the evening. So if she's watching or if she's not, I know her son is watching. We're going to embarrass Mom a little bit now. So you could pass it along, and if you want, leave it in Ms. LeBlanc's. And finally, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Drezek. Hold on, I can't do two things at once. Well, quick, Olivia, would you like the box that came in? I should have gave it to you when you were up here, and I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't know if it will talk, but we'll see.
It's going to start singing "We're the Champions."
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Mr. Drezek. Any questions for the superintendent?
Can you get a picture of this so that we immortalize it for her?
Yes,
At the end, we'll get a picture.
At the end, yeah. I try to do my best to stay off of Twitter, but I made sure that the presentation was tweeted out as soon as it happened today. So.
Number 8, audiences. Number 9, board member comments. Who wants to start? Sarah, you want to start? Or go ahead, Sarah. Or Miss Hernandez, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I actually prefer Sarah, but thank you. So I just want to, my heart was just overjoyed tonight hearing all the good work that people are doing here in Enfield. I wanted to bring up one more amazing thing. I know some students from Mrs. Fontaine's civics class came a couple of weeks ago and were talking about a fundraiser they were doing for the Network, which is a support center for people who have experienced domestic violence. And I wanted to let everybody know that altogether the civics classes raised $2,171 in goods and services for the Network. And Esther did get her pizza party. So so I appreciate everybody's support. Mr. Ryder, thank you, of course, for your amazing website and everybody for their publicity. I don't know what the words are that I'm trying to find. I get overwhelmed with the amount of leadership that our students show and their insight and their resourcefulness and their empathy. And that's something that no textbook could ever teach, but our teachers foster and facilitate the development of those skills. So thank you to our teachers, and thank you to our students for meeting the challenges that they are given.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Mr. Neville?
I know at the last meeting I had nothing to say, but I have a few things to say today, so tighten up your seatbelts. No. First of all, our last meeting we didn't have an opportunity to make some comments about the referendum, and I think like all of us, I just want to thank the citizens of Enfield and the voters for coming out and supporting this very, very important thing. I think it's something like Enfield High School. It's something the community can be proud of. And I appreciate it, and I think we all appreciate it, and thank you. And I want you to know that all of us will make sure that every dime is spent wisely, and we'll give you something that you can be proud of. I'd like to thank Randy for all his work, and I think Mr. Drezek was not wrong at all in saying that his name is on every plaque in every building that I've ever been in here. So I thank him for all that work, and I know that he won't stop now. He'll keep going as we pursue the JFK referendum. I'd also like to thank Scott, who volunteered as not necessarily as a board member, but just as a citizen, to do something that was very, very important, which was to publicize and keep the project going and get the message out to the public. And I think that was one of the most important things in terms of getting that particular referendum through. So thank you. I think there's a lot of unsung heroes in this process, but I think the town will benefit from it, and especially our students. I'd like to just point out just make some comments about the Joint Facilities Committee. We have a huge project in front of us, and I think a lot of us have been on the committee for a couple of years now, and I think we're heading in the right direction. And I think that it's one of those committees like the Enfield High Committee, which you run for 6 or 7 years, I was on for 5 years. You know, people make a commitment to getting something done here because they think it's important. And it's not a little commitment. The Joint Facilities Committee and the future JFK committee, building committee, are two of those kinds of committees. We have a lot of work to do. You know, it's not just the roof at Barnard that we're able to get done. It's all of the projects that we want to do to keep our system up to date, to provide appropriate facilities for our children, and give our children and our parents and our citizens something to be proud of. And I think we've started with something. I would suggest that the public stay tuned, keep their eyes on this. This is not a one-time thing. This is going to happen every year. Pieces of this project will go on, just like we did the Barnard sections of the roof. It took us a long time to get it through, but it kind of made a template for us for the rest of it. We're working very, very hard in a bipartisan way. This doesn't always happen in towns, but in this town it's working in a bipartisan way to get the job done. And I think we're heading towards the it's Eli Whitney is our next stop, I believe, to get that roof done beginning in June, earlier than it was for the Barnard one. But to keep the project going and not let this become a crisis, but do it as a matter of support for our school system, the way we do for our own homes. Okay, we don't wait till it becomes a crisis situation. So I'd say stay tuned and please support us in all the work we do to try to get that to keep going. Next, the Wreaths Across America. I couldn't say more about that. It is a very, very moving ceremony. I'm proud that our schools keep getting recognized, and I think it's because of the quality of the programs and the work that our kids and our staff do. But I would encourage you to be there. It's worth it. And finally, the ETA. I'd like to thank you for your continual leadership role, being role models for this community. I mean, we've always said, and Mr. Dresek in particular, that you're the reason why we exist. You're the best role models we have. You're the best resource we provide to our kids. Having a talented teacher crew to do that is what makes it work, along with our parent group. And I'd like to just thank you for not only being role models in the classroom, but showing community leadership as you did with this particular thing. So thank you all very much.
Well, I don't know what else is left to say, so no. Mr. Ryder.
My Eli Whitney report for the week includes 12 days of raffles are on sale. You can get them at enfieldpto.com, the Eli Whitney page. So basically for a $5 raffle ticket, every $5 you spend, you're eligible to win any of the days that many times. There's Red Robin gift cards, there's Boston Celtic tickets, Lego gift prizes, tickets to Sunny's Place, Yard Goats tickets, an American Girl doll, etc. So for $5, you could get a chance to win any of those days that many times. So if you pick up 5 tickets for $25, you're in each day for $5. There's an ERFC event with Eli Whitney on December 3rd at 6 p.m. And I want to encourage all of my PTO parents out there to partner with our community partners like ERFC. They approach us all the time. They want to do things that are active, fun things to do with our family, as long as they're educational based and the kids have a blast. We sneak education into all kinds of things, whether it's like a scavenger hunt around the building, et cetera. You can sneak education into anything. A PTO meeting at Eli Whitney, December 6th at 6:30 in the library. Picture retake day, December 4th. They did a wreath fundraiser, so the pickup for that, they just picked the date this week as Thursday, November 29th for our wreath pickups. And lastly, we are doing something, Enfield PTO, the website, is doing something in partnership with Enfield Public Schools. And I want to thank everybody at Central Office for allowing us to do this, because along with Max, we have a few other kids in town that have benefited from the services of CCMC. So we're going to have a CCMC PJ Day throughout all the buildings in Enfield Public Schools on Friday, December 14th. So the kids would bring in $1 that day for the privilege of wearing their PJs to school, school-appropriate PJs. And that's going to take place in every building from Head Start and Stowe through JFK. The high school does something different with their onesies. And they do other fundraisers, as Sarah has mentioned as well. But this day specifically, there'll be some flyers going home to all the kids. If not, I'll be dropping them off at all the schools this week. They'll go home next week in backpacks, and there'll be announcements with morning announcements. But basically, and if you don't have $1, it's okay, because just wearing your PJs with all of your other classmates just raises awareness as to why we're doing it and who it's for. If you have a penny, bring in a penny. If you have a nickel, bring in a nickel. But we just set $1 on the flyer, and it's completely optional. And we hope that everybody takes part. We're hoping to raise some money that we can bring down the following Monday or Tuesday to Connecticut Children's Medical Center. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder. Mr. Renier.
Thank you. Hazardville Memorial, December 10th, 11th, and 12th, they're doing their Kids Corner holiday shopping. So kids who go to that school will have the chance to purchase gifts for their families at a reasonably low price. So I know the kiddos love doing that. And I believe they also wrap them too. So it's a double feature. December 12th, Hazardville, there's a PTO meeting at 6 p.m. in the library. December 13th, there is a holiday concert happening at the Enfield Town Annex at 6 p.m. So the students of Hazardville will be performing a nice winter concert for their families. So again, that's December 13th at the Annex. And as Mr. Ryder had stated, the CCMC PJ Day will be happening as well. I just wanted to congratulate Amy Bartholomew for being the CIAC Field Hockey Assistant Coach of the Year. So congrats to her on that. And I also wanted to mention, since our Route 5 sign is now taking the place of Miss LeBlanc, that Safe Grad Auction is happening this Saturday at the Enfield Elks Club. 6 p.m. is the viewing, 7 p.m. The items go on auction. It's $10 for entrance, and the more the merrier. So, thank you.
Mr. Renier, where can you get the tickets?
So tickets can be located at EnfieldPTO.com, and well, the information for the tickets can be found on EnfieldPTO.com with a link to the email address and the phone number.
I think they're available at the door too.
Yes, and at the door as well. And if you have questions about where it's at EnfieldPTO.com. And I believe there's a wonderful DJ there as well that's going to be performing on the 1s and 2s. So that would be excellent. The 3s, yes. So 1 and 2s to the 3s.
Mr. Post, save us, please.
Just a quick update on some Enfield Street School news. December 3rd is the picture retake, so if your child missed it or if you just need the picture retaken for any reason, make sure that you don't miss that date. Square One art orders are due online by the end of the day today, so if there's any parents at home watching who haven't submitted those yet but want to, today is the last day you can do it. And then something really cool, the Hartford Yard Goats do something called Educator of the Game, where throughout their season they take a moment to recognize some really outstanding teachers in the communities, of our state. So Enfield Street School actually sort of went through a informal nomination process, and 3 Enfield Street School teachers were selected to be recognized at some point during the season next year. Everyone kind of gets assigned different times to get recognized. So 3 of our teachers, I don't have their names yet, so I can't wait to find out who they are, but 3 teachers will be recognized. So watch those Yard Goats games, buy those tickets. You might see an Enfield Street School teacher there. Miss Holovich can tell us who they are. Miss Holovich, Sarah Kilty,
grade, and Jen Scully, first grade.
And Jen Scully. Well done. And these nominations were put in by parents. So I just want to point out that, this is truly a reflection. It's not like anyone in administration just decided to pick them. These were parent chosen, and the Yard Goats chose them out of the pool. So they basically nominated a whole slew of teachers, and the Yard Goats chose those 3. So it came from a very organic place. So we really appreciate that parent feedback to see, all of the teachers who got nominated really recognized for that. But definitely congratulations to those 3.
Thank you, Mr. Poe. Mr. Rutledge.
Just one really quick thing to kind of follow up to Mr. Regnier's comments. The email address for the Safe Grad auction tickets is ehsctsafegrad@gmail.com. So if you're interested in getting them, that's where you can write to.
Ms. Riley.
Okay, so Henry Barnard, they're getting busy over there. The Square One art orders, the online and phone orders have been extended till the 29th of this month. They're going to be delivered on December 14th. On December 13th, from 5 to 9 p.m., they're going to be at Barnes & Noble wrapping gifts or books, whatever you get there, and all the tips go to the PTO. On December 5th at 5 p.m., they're going to be having a fundraiser at the 99. And obviously, December 14th, PJ Day. First readers are... Actually, we need to unlock the phone first. Oh my gosh, my phone's talking to me. Okay. First readers trivia night's coming up. Our ticket's going to go on sale starting the 1st of the year, and it's the last Saturday in February. It's 23rd. It's at 7 p.m. and it's going to be a great time this year, as usual. I wanted to thank the ETA while they're here. They donated the books this year for first readers, so a big thank you to them. That was so generous, and we can't thank you enough. You already talked about Safe Grad, and then everybody left, so I didn't get to say congratulations to the kid mayor, Olivia Nuccio. She can do my campaign video next time if I run again, and I'm on board with her more recess. I'm up for that. And I wanted to thank the civics and community engagement students that were just here. They came up with a great idea for teens, helping teens at the Lamagna Center. And if they need any help, I'm willing to help out if they need it. And that's all I had.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Prudence Crandall, I'm going to cheat here and look at my phone. This Friday at 9:30 is their Pride Assembly, 9:30 in the morning. That's the 30th. December 7th at 6 p.m. is Make It or Take It PTO event. And on the 14th is the Winter Snow Much Fun PTO event at 6 p.m. And that's another Friday, December 14th. So anybody with Prudence Crandall, please make every effort to go to those. And that's all I have. I had to dig that out because you guys pretty much stole all my thunder again, like always. So,
Mr. Chair, I have one further comment
please,
to make.
Mr. Renier.
As Mr. Poe had alluded to in regards to picture retake days, that reminded me of an email that I received today. Since our photos are through LifeTouch, I did receive an email today. So for anyone who's watching for today, 70% off of photos. I already bought mine, so this doesn't apply to me. But 70% off your photos by typing in Cyber 70. It's their Black Monday or Cyber Monday deal. So cool for them. So if you haven't bought them yet, go ahead.
They extended it to the week, or
they extended it to today.
Today.
So if you're watching the next 3 hours, go buy some photos.
Any comments?
Safe Grad.
So Rich took my thunder on that because I was texting her to find out when it was, and Rich already knew, so I just should have asked him. So we'll leave it at that. Number 10, unfinished business. We have none. Number 11, new business. 11A, BOE policy approval of 3000 series first reading. Mr. Renier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the Policy Committee has been working diligently in regards to our policies. Again, these are policies that we're going through being updated by CABE, being reviewed by CABE, and being sent to us. So the Policy Committee has been working series by series, and the last series that we had done was the 3000s. This is primarily for business organization for the Enfield School District. So in your packet, you will see the first reading for the 3000 series. As with the previous policies, they will be going online for the public to view. And any comments or concerns, they can definitely contact the committee. But again, this is the first reading. Next meeting will be the second reading, in which we finalize them, and they are put into our binders.
So do I have a motion to accept approve the 3000 series first reading? Moved by Mr. Rutledge, seconded by Mr. Poe. Any discussion? We need roll call. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ryder?
Approved.
Mr. Renier?
Yep.
Mrs. DePoe?
Yes.
Mr. Rutledge?
4.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Chairman Krizel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So 10B, BOE new policy, approval for policy number 5144.1, use of physical force, physical restraint, and seclusion. First reading. Mr. Renier.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for this policy, this was given to us by CABE due to the necessity of state law that's going to affect starting January 1, 2019. I will pass the buck to Mr. Longy to give any other specifics to that.
Thank you. So 5144.1 is from the state. All school districts have to be compliant with this new policy by the first of the year. CABE did send us a sample draft. We also had our special education department and legal team as well look at it just to make sure. Policy committee looked at it, looked good. And in there included are also forms that staff use during any type of seclusion, any type of restraint, and those are completely current, vetted by the state. They're actually on the state website that we use. Our staff has been using those forms well before this policy's been into place on the form side. So the policy is just getting us in line with state regulation, and if you approve the first reading, then the second reading will be in complete compliance by the end of the year.
So do I have a motion to accept? Mr. Neville?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Neville, seconded by Ms. Riley. Any discussion?
Again, this policy will be put online for everyone to view before the next meeting.
Mr. Neville.
Just as a point of information, I believe we all got an email from our attorneys that there is a workshop out about this and how it's being carried out throughout the state. Knowing from experience, this is a very, very difficult topic, and we need to I think, take advantage of those opportunities. And I don't know if anybody on the board wants to go down there. It's either a webinar or a workshop. I'm not sure which. I have it at home. But I certainly would like to get involved in it and bring back that information to the board. I don't know if anybody else does.
Thank you, Mr. Neville. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Mr. Renier?
Yes.
Mrs. DePoe?
Yes.
Mr. Rutledge?
Yes.
Mrs. Riley?
Yes.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Chairman Krizel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And thank you to the policy committee for all their diligent work on this, keeping us legal, I guess. So that brings us to board committee reports. Curriculum.
We reported at the last meeting, and we have a curriculum committee meeting on December 13th. And the agenda should be forthcoming any day now.
Finance.
The last meeting was canceled, and December 10th at 6 p.m. is our next meeting.
Policy.
Policy committee met twice last month, first to approve the 5,000 and then to approve the 4,000 series. We have separated the 4,000 series into 4 separate chunks. So the first one that we approved last week was sent back out to CABE for them to get their readings, and we're going to submit them to the board 4 at a time and not the entire chunk of 4,000 series, as there's many papers to go through. So during the next meeting, there should be the first chunk of the 4,000 series that we're going to approve, and then subsequently more after that. The policy committee will be taking a hiatus for the month of December, and we will start again in January.
Thank you. Leadership, we have none. Joint facilities, we are meeting this Thursday and just continuing work. And again, I should have said during public communications, thank you all for approving the JFK referendum, because that took a little bit off our backs. we can get that going. And that brings me to the next next thing. They are forming a new JFK Building Committee. There's applications can be submitted on the town website, but we want to appoint liaisons for that meeting. So I am going to appoint this guy named Walter Cruzel and also Mr. Tim Neville. So Walter doesn't know yet, so I'll tell him next time. I'll tell him next time. Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave that at that. And so 13, approval of regular BOE meeting minutes of November 27, 2018. So moved. Moved by Mr. Rutledge, seconded by Mr. Renier. Any discussion? All in favor? 8-0-0. Number 14, approval of accounts and payroll.
We have none.
We have none. 15, correspondence and communications. Well, we have the sign here that says everything. Number 16, executive session. Do we have a need for executive session? We do not, or do we?
Just as a point of information, if we're going to go into a discussion in terms of evaluation, is that something that we have to go into executive session, or what other opportunity do we have? It's a personnel matter, so, you know, okay.
All right, so I need a motion to go into executive session for a personnel matter. So moved. So moved by Mr. Neville.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Riley. Any discussion? We are in executive session at 8:02, and we are not coming back to video. Thank you very much, and good night.